We've seen the blowback that some Republicans in your caucus that are getting when they go back home to their districts, worried about these cuts or worried about what DOJ is doing. Do you have concerns that that's anything that Democrats will be able to use to run against those Republicans?
No, because no, I don't. Because the videos you saw of the town halls were for paid protesters in many of those places. These are Democrats who went to the events early and filled up the seats. If the videos had panned outside the building,
you can't argue they were all paid protesters, though, Mr. Speaker.
Many of them were.
A Republican acknowledged they were his constituents.
One Republican acknowledged they were his constituents. That's fantastic. Okay, but they had Democrats come and fill the seats early, all right? This is an old playbook that they pulled out and ran, and it made it look like that what is happening in Washington is unpopular. But I'm going to tell you, Caitlin, the American people are behind what's happening.
Do you hear that? The smug Republican Speaker of the House just told Americans that are upset over the destructive first month of the Trump administration that they're not real and to just go off.
The DOJ efforts is polling over 80% right now. They want us to find efficiencies in the federal government. They want the government to be smaller and leaner and more accountable to the taxpayers. And that's what these efforts are all about. That's what the Republican Party is about. That's what our commitment is to do, to make government work better for the people. This is a restoration of common sense above everything else. And I think the American people are going to remain in favor of what's happening here.
Okay, those lawmakers do also represent Democrats. That doesn't mean they were paid to show up if they're upset about this.
So while Speaker Johnson tells Americans what they like and don't like, his fellow Republicans are going back home to more and more of things like this.
Do your job! Do your job! Do your job! Do your job! Liar! 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 Liar!
That those dollars are getting to the people who depend on them. Because we have this vast bureaucracy that's soaking those dollars up. We have mistaken payments, improper payments that are being made. And all of those are dollars that should be going to the people who depend on them. So that's what's talking about here. Okay, I am very glad someone is looking at all of the waste. When we were talking about the budget deficit, we are in an existential crisis. Our national debt is over $36
trillion. That was from Republican Jay Obernolte town hall in California's 23rd district, which is far from the liberal bastion of Los Angeles. So Mike Johnson can keep calling Trump voters paid Democrats that showed up early to make them look bad. But as usual, the facts don't agree with his gaslighting.
California legislature, I was the vice chair of the budget committee for 5 years, and we had several years where a substantial portion of California state income tax came from one person, and that was Elon Musk.
Boss!
And he is not paying tax is just flat out wrong.
Man, you're lying.
We don't have.
You're lying.
I think you're giving statistics that don't mean anything, because what percentage did Elon Musk pay? What percentage of his income?
I don't know the answer.
Before you do something, and doesn't that make him a murderer and you complicit? Constitution.
And you know what? I completely agree with you. Our system of democracy is based on, as the gentlelady said, a system of checks and balances. We're supposed to have 3 different branches of government that provide checks against each other.
Okay, I get it. Some people don't like the yelling and screaming and talking over a lying congressman who's more afraid of Donald Trump than he is of his own constituents. So how about a kind elderly citizen who knows what's going on and asks?
But what is going on right now today is the House of Representatives and the Senate are totally abdicating their responsibility. Stand here and say, I'm not sure about that, or I'm not sure about that. You put up, frankly, some of these slides are very misleading. Let's talk about the Trump tax cut. How much of that deficit in that jump from 22 up was the tax cuts to the incredibly rich people of the world who are now in our White House and dismantling our government? You are an attorney. You are an officer of the court, in addition to swearing an oath to our Constitution, and yet, well, you and so many of your colleagues are just sitting around watching. Well, I don't know, we'll see what happens next month. Oh, those workers have rights, and yes, they've been violated, so now they're getting processed. Our courts can't handle this. These people have planned this for years, and they are doing it. It is a fire hose of action. Illegal actions that even you acknowledge right here, but we're just going to let the courts sort it out. There won't be a country left to run, sir, if you guys just sit back and are afraid of a primary.
Mike Johnson thinks that that woman is a paid protester who's against the restoration of common sense for asking why her congressman is asleep while an unelected billionaire does whatever the hell he wants to the federal government.
We have people here who are concerned about Medicaid and programs that are with the kids. How can you justify allowing an unvetted, unelected person like Elon Musk to take away your congressional power? You funded these programs. You created these departments. You are letting a person who is an immigrant from South Africa who acts like a neo-Nazi control the legislative branch.
Yeah! Come on, Glenn. Come on, Glenn.
I am glad we have Elon Musk looking out.
Boo! Boo! Who do you represent? Who do you represent?
I explained the mess we have in our current budget.
We know the mess.
And you were part of it.
To a certain extent,
It just really needs to be highlighted how many of these town halls have a wide landscape of people affected because their jobs were unfairly cut, because they're having to deal with increased costs and loss of programs that they paid into, or who are concerned about the power grab that Trump's White House is executing against Congress. Republicans claimed for the past several years that the Democratic Party is unorganized and feckless. But when real-life constituents come out in droves all over the country in Republican districts and directly voice their frustrations with the fascism that they're ushering in, the excuse is that the same feckless party has organized fake voters to fill town halls with agitators to this extreme degree. Where are all the Trump-loving constituents that have showed up and had their spots taken at these events that they talk about? Where's the evidence of communication originating from the Democratic Party to mobilize all of these people to come out and create these fake scenes? Mike Johnson doesn't know, and honestly, he just doesn't care, because he and the rest of Trump's party have gotten so used to not having to back up their lies with a shred of truth for so long, they have no idea how to respond. So they angrily attack the people that they're supposed to represent.
Last week, videos of protesters yelling at members of Congress went viral, right? But the content focused on the confrontation, not the why. Some of the people that hijacked those town halls are happy with the bloated status quo. They want the bloated status quo to continue. They don't want to get our country back on track. And to make matters worse, even the DNC chair openly suggested that the outrage at the town halls across the country was orchestrated. But here's the truth. Getting us out of nearly $37 trillion in debt, it's not going to be easy. President Trump and the White House Republicans have started the conversation on wasteful government spending, and 77 million voices outweighed those voices at the town halls. We got our marching orders. We listened to the American people, and they told us they wanted change. And buckle up, because that's exactly what we're giving them. And our friends on the other side of the aisle, please keep going down the path of defending and even advocating for government waste, fraud, and abuse. The message they all are sending is clear, and we see whose side they're on.